All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed that video on Jen Stark. It's very interesting to learn about artists that are living today. She lives mostly in Los Angeles, California, and does murals all over, from airports all over the world, mostly United States though. And she's a colorist, so we're going to do one of her drip art pieces. When you're done with this, you're actually gonna cut the bottom off so it looks like it's dripping, all right, like dripping paint. And you can even hang this in your bedroom when you're done. Hang it off of a shelf or just put it on your wall. It's kind of cool to do. You could even continue making this and make a mural out of it in your room if you have extra paper. But make sure you save that art paper we need for school. All right, so today we're going to actually hold our paper going across this way so we can get our drips in first, okay? If you notice here, she does a variation of rainbow colors and then she does black and white. So remember, black and white are actually not colors, but we can do a design that shows the element of color from the 7 elements of art, and we can also use line today in this project. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start off with our first drip. All right, I'm doing my best because I'm drawing sideways here. I'm gonna go down and up, make some drips bigger. You can go slow too. You don't wanna go too fast, all right? And I'm gonna make this drip a little bit deeper. Okay, then I'm going to come back over to where my drip was. I'm going to go follow it pretty closely, the line. I'm going to make another series of drips. Okay, just like this, just like Jen Stark would do, only she paints this on giant walls on the sides of buildings. I could go in and do some black and white too after this. I'm going to do a couple more layers of the color following the line. And maybe I'll do one more. Coming way up. Notice that my lines are not touching each other, but they're not evenly dispersed, just like paint would drip differently. Then maybe I could go in and do some small drips, all right, that I could end up doing in black and white. So I'm gonna make these black and white drips. I'm gonna make them show variation of size by making them a little bit smaller on the dripping. And I'll do a few more black and white ones over here. And then I'm gonna maybe start off doing some color again, right? I could do some more drips. Oops, I'm going backwards in my drawing, hold on. And those are gonna go off the page. Okay, oops, maybe I can fit in a little bit more there. And I'll cut those off. All right, so once you've done that part, and if you feel like you could even do more, you could certainly go up to the top and fill that in more. See how I could really do this a little bit more with my drips. All right, and then what you wanna do to keep it kind of simplified, you wanna start with the, thinking about the rainbow, Roy G. Biv, which I know many of you 3rd and 4th graders, I've had you in school and even all the way to kindergarten and up, so you're very familiar with that. But remember that on the color wheel goes around in a circle. Let me just grab my color wheel, it's right here on my desk. So the color wheel, remember, it goes around in a circle, so red can touch magenta, all right? So you could have red and magenta next to each other because you're really going around in a circle, it's not in a flat order, all right? So then you could do red, then oranges, then yellows, green, blues, shades of blue, and purple. All right, so keep it kind of simple. All right, so I'm gonna start off with magenta because I don't know, if you know me, you know how much I love magenta. So I'm gonna start off with magenta up at the top, okay? And then once I've done magenta, all right, you wanna go in and make this nice and smooth here. All right, so you can go in and put in the magenta. And then after you've done magenta, try to stay within the lines. If you drew with pencil first, you might want to go back and do the Sharpie marker before you begin to add the color. See, I'm going a little bit out of the lines here, so I'll go back with Sharpie marker after and clean up those lines a little bit more. Again, it is helpful to have something underneath your paper. All right, oops, I got one more spot for magenta. And I don't know if I'm going to get to use magenta again, so that's why I kind of put it at the top because I just love this color. All right, so once I've done magenta, I can go in and do red, okay? Because red would be next on the spectrum. So I'm gonna go in and do red. And then from there, although I could have gone to purple next. I could have done purple. right? Because that's also on the color wheel. I could have gone red, or I could have gone from magenta to purple, but I chose red. So you're just gonna go around and kind of mark the spot, and then you can go back in and kind of clean it up to make it look nicer and neater. All right, remember, use the side of your marker because that will make it look nice and smooth, right? If you don't have markers, you could use color pencil. You could do this with crayon. Watercolor paints, it's tricky to do this with watercolor paints, only because you really want to go in order. And when you use watercolor paints, they bleed. If you paint one color and then have another color touch that color, and in this process of art, we don't really want them to bleed into each other this time. Although Jen Stark does do some art with dripped paint, and it kind of does have that appearance of bleeding from one color to another. But usually most of her work, especially the one that we're kind of basing ours on this week, it's not so much blended. Okay, all right, so then from red, I need to go to orange, because orange is next on the color wheel. So I'm gonna go in next to red and start to get in my orange. All right, I'm just gonna do one section so you can kind of get the sense of what we're doing, and then you can continue on. All right, so here, I'm gonna do orange here, but you know I would keep going and doing orange all the way across. So Jen, a colorist is a person who really focuses on color. Their art is really kind of based on color. There's lots of colorists out there. And we've studied some colorists in the past, like Sonia Delaney. I personally really, as an artist myself, really gravitate to color. Color is like a really big deal to me. So maybe that's why a lot of my lessons are kind of that connected to that too. But color is a big deal to me. Ooh, and this green is a little darker than I wanted. I was supposed to change this out before my video began to a lighter green. Oh well, that's what it is. All right, so there you go. So I have my green on here. And it looks like I'm gonna end up stopping at green. I won't be able to do blue. All right, if I'm gonna do black and white. Okay, unless I go in and somehow fix this, I could do some sort of design line where I connect it to blue in some way. I could go and do blue and then go into black and white. But for the black and white part, you can just pick a spot that you want to start black and white and just start to fill in that part black. And then obviously you would skip the white part. So this is white. And then this would be black, right? And you can keep going using the side of your marker. If you're using a Sharpie marker to put in the black, make sure you use the side of it because you really want that point to stay pointy. And it's just one of those things. Unless you're doing a really small space like right here, you don't really need the tip of your marker, okay? So you can go in and kind of get that black line, that black in nice and solid. All right, so you could do black and white, and you could go back to color after you do a series of black and white. If you don't want to do black and white at all, you don't have to, okay? And then when you're done, you're simply just going to cut off the very bottom so that this very bottom edge, I will just cut this off and it will be left alone, okay? And so then I can hang it up and it looks like dripped paint. All right, boys and girls, I can't wait to do this with you in class. We'll spend much more time than this video allows us to, but I'm looking forward to seeing you in class and learning about Jen Stark and hearing what you think about her as an artist. See you guys soon, bye.